Okay, so in this video, we will study a forward contract and a forward rate agreement. This is the purpose of these two chapters, chapter 7 and chapter 11. So we will spending more time to do this part. So what is forward? We already mentioned this one when we studied the introduction of the derivative market. The forward means you have signed a contract. This contract will be accessed in the future. Based on the underlying asset, there are two types of the forward contract. One's commodity forward contract, right? So underlying asset is a commodity. The other one is a financial forward contract, right? Underlying asset is a financial asset, right? What is commodity? For example, the physical goods, right? Consumer goods or any, tangible things you can touch, right? It's for the commodity, right? For example, the oil, right? ExxonMobil can sign a contract, a forward contract, right, to lock the price of the oil in the future. It's a commodity forward contract. For a financial forward contract, for example, you are sent a forward contract to buy the foreign currency, right? For example, to buy the euros, right, in a 3 months later, right, with the given exchange rate. Right? It's a financial forward contract, right? Or you can send a contract to buy what? To buy the, the bond, right, the treasury bond, for example, right, in the 3 months later, right? So it is a financial forward contract, right? The underlying asset is intangible. It's a financial products, right? It's a financial forward contract. So why we need to sign a forward contract, right? This one will be accessed in the future. There are two purposes, right, to trading a forward contract. One's the hedge, one's the speculations, right? Hedge means what? Means you have something in your hand, right? You are worried the potential risk for this underlying asset, right? So you will sign this forward contract to lock the cost in the future, right? In such case, right, your purpose is not to make money, right, but you want to reduce your potential what? Potential risk, right, in the market, right? It's hedging, right? For example, the ExxonMobil will deliver, you know, many oils, right, in the retailers, right, in 3 months later, right? For now, oil price is very cheap in the market, right? But ExxonMobil are worried, right? The oil price will going up, right, in 3 months later, right? What they will do, they will sell a forward contract, for example, with Saudi Arabia, right? So even the price will going up, right? They can still buy the oil with a cheaper price, right, in a contract with Saudi Arabia, right? So in this case, they can reduce the potential price risk in the future, right? And the other purpose for the forward contracts for the speculation, right? What's a speculation? Just like the gambling in the casinos, right? So you predict the price will going up, for example, then you will buy this asset for a short term, right, to get a profit, right? It's for speculation, right? For example, if I, don't hold any oil, right, and also I will not deliver any oil, right, but I know the price of the oil will go up, right? So as individual investors, right, I will also buy the forward contract. Okay, so if the oil price, actually goes up, right? So I can, buy the oil with a cheaper price, then sell to the market directly, right? Get a profit, right? In such case, I'm not trying to reduce any risk for what I have in my hand, right? My purpose is just to get some profit, right? So this one called what? Speculation, right? So you can say hedging and speculation actually is not, the same, right? For most individuals, right, you don't have the warehouse, right? You don't want to holding any inventory of the real goods, right? So your purpose to buy any financial derivative maybe is forward for speculation, right? For short-term gains. What's the feature of the forward contract? There are two features, right? The first one, the forward contract is is signed, right, individually, right? So it means the two parties can customize, right, the contract, right? They can specify how much they want to deliver, right, and what's the price, right, and what's the qualities, right, what's the quantities, right? So it is what individualized contract, right? So means the parties in the future will with no regulations, right? So they can be what can be default, right? So not like the futures, right? They are clearing house, right? As a third party, right? To monitor both parties will access their rights and responsibilities, right? But for the forward, there's no regulators, right? So the parties can be default, right? So if you purchase a forward, you have the default risk, right? And also the forward contract is a zero-sum game, right? What's a zero-sum game? One party take the gain, right? Then the other party must take a loss, right? So the whole contract will not generate any new values, right, in the future, right? The values just transfer from A to B, right? There's no new value created, right? For example, right, for the forward contract I just showed, right, in the previous examples, right? Suppose the oil price, right, goes up, right? So the dealers, right, in the counterparties, right, they will sell the oil, right, cheaper than the market price to me, right? So I make the gain, right? In the other side, right, the dealer will take our what loss, right? So the gain will equal to the loss. There's no more extra, right, generated from the for the society, right? There's no extra, you know, um, generation of the wealth, right, for the whole economy, right? So it is a zero-sum game, right? So that's the difference between the forward with what with the other financial products. For example, the stock, right? Stock is not a pure zero-sum game, right? Even we know for the bidder and ask, right? So when the investor sell and buy the stock, right? Someone will take the gain, someone take a loss, right? However, right, in the macro, right, the stock price can what can growing up, right, with the company, right, on the right track, right, the whole stock can go up, right. The growth of the stock, right, is not a zero-sum game, right. It's based on the performance of the company's financial conditions, right. So even we have the selling and buying stock, right, but it doesn't mean the stock is a zero-sum game, right. With the market, on the right track, right, the stock price is moving up, right. So stock gain can be comes from the growth of the company's dividends, right. So it's not a zero-sum game. Okay, so you can see here, right? For the forward contract, right? We must to settle this contract at what? At expirations, right? When the contract are mature, right? So you must to settle this contract. There are two settlements you can do, right? One's a physical settlement, right? So what is physical settlement? As this, word literally means, right? You will deliver a actual asset. For example, if I, purchase an oil forward contract, right? So you will receive what you will receive the oil, right, from the dealer, right, from the counterparties, right? So if you receive these commercial goods, right, you must have a what inventory, right? You have a storage cost, right, in a warehouse, right? And this is most likely used in what commodity forward, right? For example, right, in the Chicago, right, in the Chicago, there's a huge what future market, right? So you can see the farmers, right, will buy the futures to protecting their what price of their productions, right? So in the harvest season, right, these farmers are worried the price may be too cheap for their products, right? So they will purchase our future contract, right, to protecting their loss, right, in the future, right? So if the other counterparties, right, purchase this forward, right, they are actually, make the promise to receive, right, is agricultural goods, right, from the farmers, right? So they must have what? They must have a warehouse, for example, in New Jersey, right, to receive these goods, right? This follow delivery of the commodity goods, right, in the physical settlement. The other way, right, we will not, shipping the goods. We will just what? Settle the payment, right? Use what? Use the cash, right? So this name called what? Cash settlement, right? Instead, you will not deliver the real physical goods, right? You will only check who will get paid, right? And how much it will get paid, right? So we will only cash settlement, right? For example, in the oil forward contract case, right? If the oil price goes up, that means means as investors, you are the buyer of the forward, and you can buy the oil cheaper than the market. You take a gain, right? The counterparties, right, the dealers take a loss, and so now we determine, the holder of the forward take a gain, and the counterparty sell the forward and take a loss. So we will not physically deliver the oil. Instead, right, the people take a loss will pay the money and to the people make the gain. And so we only settle this payment and use the cash directly. Right? We will not involve delivery of the real goods and will not incur any storage cost. For the cash settlement, right, it's mostly used in a financial forward. Right? For example, right, like we mentioned, we have the foreign exchange, the currency forward. We also have what? We have the interest rate forward. We will see this one very soon. In some special situations, for example, you are not willing to waiting until the contract gets matured. Right? You want to settle the contract in the middle before it gets expired. Right? You are worried, if the forward close to the expiration, there are too much risks for you to take continuously. So you want to settle the contract before the expirations, right? How can you do that? There are different ways to do that, right? For example, you can enter a what? Offset forward contract, right? What's offset forward contract? Right? For example, right, you send a contract, right, like we mentioned in the last video, right? For example, I want to buy a new iPhone, right? Maybe in the May, right? When Apple released the new iPhone, right? Despite the price will be too high, right? So I just send a contract to buy the iPhone in the May, right? The price I, sign in the contract is $900 for one iPhone, right? So that's my forward contract, right? From 0 to the T. T is expiration date, right? So on expiration date on time T, you will pay the $900, right, to the dealer, right? Dealer will sell the iPhone to you, right, for what? $900, right? That's the forward contract we signed, right? However, maybe not until the T, right? For example, the T is on the May, right? It's the May 1st, right? 1 month later. For example, just next week, right? You found the price of the iPhone, right? It's already cheaper, right? It's not very popular, right? You are worried, right? If you continue hold this contract, you will even take a loss, right? Because the contract, right, need you to pay $900, right? It's not good, right? So what you will do? You will enter a what? You will enter a offset contract, right? For example, you sign a new contract, right, with the dealer, right? You make a what? At beginnings, you have buy a forward, right? Now you will do what? You will sell a forward, right? So that's something, opposite, right? You sell a new forward contract, right, to a dealer, right? So the dealer can buy the iPhone, right, from you, right, forward. For example, 880, right? $880, right? Then if this contract is really valid between you and dealer, right? Means the dealer take the offer to purchase the new forward from you, right? Then you can see these two positions are opposite, right? One position you need to pay $900, right? The other position you can receive what, 880, right? So the difference will be what, $20, right? So these two contracts will be what? Will be automatically what? Will be cancelled, right? I mean, they are on the same access date, right? With the same underlying asset on iPhone, right? Only difference is what? It's the price, right? Even the parties, right, are same, right? Are you and what, the dealer, right? So still the same two parties, right? So only difference is the price, right? That's $20, right? So these two contracts will be what? Will be, you know, will be hedge each other's, right? So means there's no more what? No more access anymore, right? So you will pay $20 to the dealer, right? That's the difference between the two contracts, right? And this risk, if you're holding this contract, actually will be gone, right? So you can see here, right? You can settle a forward contract before the expiration. Right? Be careful, this forward contract must with opposite positions with your previous holding contract, right? And the date must be the same, okay? And also should be the best with the same original party, okay? Because if you sign the same contract with the same party, right? So the dealer will be not, default. If he default, you will also default your contract, right? So he will not default, right? So you have no credit risk. However, right, if you don't sign a contract with dealer directly, dealer is not willing to take your offer forward, right? You sign a contract actually with some third party, for example, Jack, right? So for example, right, if on the time T, the Jack, right, he's not very good guy, right? He default, right? He's not willing to buy the iPhone from you for 880, right? So this contract, even you want to access, right, it's not valid anymore, right? So you still need to pay $900 to what? To the dealer, right? And this contract is not valid, right? Because the Jack is default, right? So you can say if you sign a contract outside the contract with a different party, right, you will still inherit, right? Inherit what? Risk. My credit risk will be still remain, right? But if you can offset, right, the opposite direction with original party, right, you can totally avoid what? The credit risk, right? So that's how can we, settling a forward contract before the expiration. Be careful, right? As a forward holder, for example, you cannot tell the counterparty that I will let this forward contract gone, right? I will not do anything. It's not, how you can do in the market, right? If you do that, right, means you actually default, right? So in the future, the counterparty can file a claim or maybe even file a lawsuit against you, right? So how can you protect yourself, right? To the further cost before its expiration, you want to settle a what? Opposite forward contract, right? With the perfect case is with original party, right? With the same underlying asset, right? With the same quality, right? Same quantities, and on the same specific date. So here there are two questions, right, I got, right, from the CFA Level 1 test, right? So the first one, which one is the most common way to terminate a forward contract before what? Before expirations? We should do what? We should enter an opposite contract. Be careful in the question set, right? It is a terminations before the expirations, right? For the cash settlement and the physical settlement, right? They are both on the what? On expirations. Right? If you want to, terminate the contract before expirations, right? Only thing you can do is what? Enter an opposite contract. Next one, how to eliminate, right, the risk on a forward contract. Like we already show in a what? Enter into opposite contract, right? The perfect case, we will enter an opposite trade, right? With the same counterparty, right? And the same price should be even more, right? With the same what? Same underlying asset, right? So what's the meaning of the same underlying asset, right? For example, right, for the iPhone, right, must be the same condition, right, the same color, right, same generations, right, same what, same manufacturing, conditions, right, it's brand new, right, for example, right, still in the box, right, and the same generations, right, same colors, right, everything must be the same, right, then your risk can be what, can be terminated, right, before expirations, right. Okay, so for the forward, there are some things we will do in this chapter. Right? We will do the first one is do what? The pricing. Right? So if you want to purchase a forward on today's market, so right, how much you will pay for this forward. Right? That's our first job, right, in this chapter. Second, right, we will also do something called valuations. Right? I can say the cash, or I can say cash settlement. Right? I mean, after several months, right, you already try to terminate your contract before the expirations, right? So how much cash flows will be transferred from the gainer, right, to the, from the, loser to the gainers, right? Will have what cash settlement will be solved, right? So for the forward, there should be some terms we must get familiar before we do the, analysis. The first one for label is for label, right? We mentioned the label in this chapter at beginnings, right? Label is what? Is a benchmark rate, right? It's benchmark interest rate to be more accurate, right? Label is a London Interbank offer rate, right? And this is for the US dollars. That means US dollars not used in the US, right, but it will be used in what? In a foreign country, for example, in the EU, right? Or maybe in Asia, in Japan, in China, for example, right? Even the US dollars are issued in our, domestic, right, in the US, right? But it will be used in a foreign country, right? So we will use the label as a benchmark interest rate. So the London Interbank offer rate, right, is not for euro, be careful. Label is for the US dollars, right, US dollar interest rate. And then this interest rate will be quoted as an annualized rate based on a 1 year, days, right? 1 year has what? 360 days, right, for labels. And label, be careful, is a what? Is a add-on rate, right? What is add-on rate? For example, right, for our $1 million loans, right? If you borrow $1 million, right, in a foreign countries, right, then you will pay what? You will pay the labels, right? For example, 5%, right? So how much you will pay back will be 1 times 1 plus what? 5%, right? So this 5% will be additional, right? So you will pay what? You will pay $1.05 million, right, in total. Right? That's called our what? Add-on interest rate. Right? You will not just pay the principal, you will also pay the interest based on the principal. Right? Use the label rate, and let's call add-on rate. Right? Compared with the add-on rate, we have what? We have a discount rate. Right? What is discount rate or discount loans? That means what? If you try to, borrow what? 1 million, right? The bank will not actually lending you $1 million, right? How much they will lending to you is 1 million, right? Over 1 plus what? The 5%, for example, right? So they will give you, about $940 some dollars, right? As the principal. Now after 1 year, you will pay what? The principal, also what? Interest. The total will be what? $1 million, right? So for discount loans, right? They will not give you the money as the contract you want to borrow, right? They will actually ask you to return, right, this $1 million, right, when the contract expired, right? So what they offer to lending to you is take a what? Discount, right? So this is called discount loans, right? But for our levels, it's an add-on rate. What you try to apply for loans will be what you actually receive. And for level, be careful, it's also not a compounding interest, right? But a single interest, right? What's the single interest? Right? If you forget this one, we saw this one before in the principle of the financial management course, right? So a single interest, that means the interest will be what? Will be not compounded, right? Will be exactly, same percentage or same amount, right? For every month, right? So for example, right? If you borrow, these loans, right, for the T years, right, for the T years, right? So how much total you will pay will be 1 million, right, times what? 1 plus 5%, right, times what? Times the T, right? So you can see the T is not in the exponential, it's actually inside of bracket, right? So you will get the same interest, but 1 million times 5%, right? So 1 million times 5%, right? So you will pay the $50,000, right? Every year, right? Every year, right? For how many years? For the T years, right? For T years, right? So you can say for a single interest rate, right? You will pay the exactly same interest every year, right? It's not compounding, right? Your previous interest will not generate more interest in the future. So you can see that's for the level, right? Accordingly, we also have what has the Euribor, right? Euribor is very similar to the level, right? It's not on the dollars, but on the euros, right? So you will, lending and borrowing in the euros, right, in a foreign country, not in the EU area, right? It's called Eurobonds, right? And the interest rate will be charged, will be the Euribor rate. And based on these two interest rates, there's a special forward contract, right? For the interest, for loans, right? It's called our forward rate agreement, FRA. So FRA, the full name is a forward rate agreement, right? So in this agreement, right, we sign this forward contract, right, to get a fixed interest rate, right, in the future, right? And this benchmark rate will refer to the level rate, right? So this is our FRA contract, right? This FRA contract will be our focus, right, for these two chapters, right, we will study. So let's take a look, right? What's the FRA's definitions? FRA can be viewed as a forward contract, right? In this contract, you'll be borrow and lending the money with a certain rate in a future date, right? So if you long a forward rate agreement, right? If you long FRA, what that means? So that means you will borrow money, right? You will borrow money, you will borrow loans, right, with the fixed rate in the future, right? If you short FRA, what that means? Means you will sell or you will lending the money, right, to the borrowers, right, in the future with a given rate. right? So short positions means you are a lender, right? Long position means you are borrowers. FRA is a is a contract with a different maturity date. The shortest FRA with 1 month lending period, right? It's called a 30 days, level FRA. We also have the 2 months, 3 months, and 6 months FRA based on how long you want to borrow the money, right? And we have the off the run FRA. That means the FRA is not in a standardized, days, right? Not in a 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months, but they have what? 1 month and 15 days, right? 45 days, right? So it's called a non-standardized, time frame level, right? It's off the run FRA, right? So this one is in the run, right? And this is off the run. Off the run means the date is not standardized, right? It's not like how many months, right? But maybe in the middle of the month, right? So let's see what FRA looks like, right? For example, here in the graph, right, we show what? 3 by 9 FRA. 3 by 9 FRA. What that means? Right, you can see the chart very clear here, right? So on time 0, right, you send a FRA with the counterparties, right? You are the buyer or you are long position of a FRA, right? So what that means? Means in a 3 months later, on 90 days, right, you will borrow the money, right, from what? From the counterparty, right, who take short positions, right? And how long you will, borrow money for, right? You will borrow money forward for 180 days, right? 9 minus 3, right, equal to what? 6 months, right? So you borrow what? You borrow 6 months loans, right, from the lenders, right, based on the level interest rate on the market, right? So that's how the FRA works, right? So you want to borrow money, you want to borrow dollars, right, from our foreign what? Foreign lenders, right? And you willing to lending the money or borrow money for 6 months, right? But not for now, but for the 3 months later, right? So you will sign this 3 by 9 contract, right? What that means? Means you will, now you sign a contract, right? And in 3 months later, you will need the money, right? So the contract actually is not, for the settlement of the contract, it's not effective now, right? Now you just sign a contract, but nothing you will do, right? Until 3 months, when the contract, right, expire, right? Then the loan will start, right? Loan will start, right? When the contract settled, right, on the third month, right, then the loan will start. You will start to borrow money, right, for the next 6 months, right? That's how this FRA works, right? We will show more detail, right, for this FRA, right, in the following slide, right? In the following slide. You can see here, right? There are three what? Three, chart, right? But they all means the same what? Same contract, right? So you can say they both means you are not, right? You're not starting the loans immediately, right? You sign a contract now, right? But the settlement of the contract is on the 90 days, on the third month, right? Then you will borrow the loans starting from the third month, right? For the next what? Next 6 months, right? For the total 180 days level, right? 890 plus 180 equal to what? 270, right? So you actually borrow the money not for the total 9 months, but only for 6 months, right? So the forward contract, right, something happen in the future, right? So that's why, you sign this contract, right? If you want to borrow money right now, right, you don't need to sign a forward contract, right? Instead, you will sign what? You will just buy, if you want to borrow money right now, right, you will just what? Borrow money directly, use what? Spot interest rate, right? Spot rate, right? Only if you want to borrow money, not now, but in the future, right, you will sign a forward contract to lock the interest rate, right, with the counterparties, right, within what? Within how many months specified in the contract, right? It is not just for the dollars, right? It's also for the other currency, right? In the other countries, right? For example, if you have the euros, right, we have the what? Eurobonds, right? Eurobonds, for example, right? Be careful, right? When you sign a contract, right? Like we mentioned, right? If you are actually short of money, right? You want to borrow loans, right? And you want to reduce your risk in the interest, right? You have the hedging, okay? In the hedging case, right? We want to deliver the loans, right? As you need. However, in some case, right? You are not willing to make loans. You want just what? Make some money, right? You expecting the interest rate will be higher, right, in the future. You want to do some what? Speculations, right? In such case, the loans is not what? Is not real, right? But it is a synthetic loans, right? Based on if this one actually happened, right? Then how many days will be, for these loans, right? And how much interest you will be what? You will be charged, right? So this is for synthetic loans, right? Means the loans can be not actually, accessed, right? If you are speculators, right? On a date on 90 days, right? You are asking the counterparty to do what? To do a settlement, right? And if you already, make the profit, right? You will settle with the counterparties, right? And the loan will be not happened, right? For these days, right? So what we show in this chart is something we made what? Synthetically, right? Can be not actually happen, right, in a real market, right? Okay, so let's say the formula, right? We have this formula, right? Notional principle, right? What's a notional principle? Means something you want to follow what? Synthetically, right? For speculators, right? You're not actually willing to make loans, right? So that's why we put a notional before the principle here, right? And these principles will charge the interest, right? For the how much months you want to borrow, right? In the previous case, we borrow money for what? For 180 days, or you can see the 6 months, right? So you need to check what's the interest that you will charge, right, for these 6 months, right? Then you will take our discount, right, to the time what? Time t, right? We will show this one in the detail, right? So please don't memorize or mechanically copy this formula directly, right? We will show the interpretation of this formula in the detail. And based on my interpretations, based on my tutorials, we can solve these questions easier, right? We not memorize this formula. Right? Okay, before we do the calculations, right, let me give you some examples, right, in the questions. Which of the following best describe the forward rate of FRA? You can see here, right? Our forward rate of FRA, right, is a rate you will sign in what? In the future, right? In the future, right? For example, right? If you sign a forward for FRA for the 6 months, right? Then you will, charge interest for the 6 months what? Level, right? If you borrow money for the 3 months, right, it will be 3 months what? Level, right? So based on how long you want to borrow what? Borrow the loans, right? You will be charged with what? Different interest, right? So we can plot these things, right, into the graph, right? So this is the time t, right? This is the interest rate, right? So for example, right, for the time 1, right, time 2, time 3, right, 3 and 9, right? So starting from the 3 to 9, right, if you borrow money for a short term, right, your interest rate will be what? Will be lower, for example, 2.7%, right? If you borrow money for, for longer period, right, you will charge a higher interest rate, right, 3.3%, right? So you can see with the time increasing, you will also charge with what? More interest, right, based on your loans, right? So our, graph actually shows what? Shows a term structure, right? What's the meaning of the term structure? Means while the time increase, interest rate is also increased, right? So our default rate is implied with what? A term structures, right? Term structures. The next one, our underlying asset of FRA is our what? Interest rate, right? Interest rate. And this interest rate is based on reference rate level, right? Level. So for FRA, the purpose if try to what? Try to reduce the risk for the interest, right? If you are what? If you are borrowers, right, of the dollars, right, in a foreign country, right, you will sign this FRA contract, right, to reduce the potential interest rate risk, right? So our underlying asset is what? Is the interest rate, right, for loans. So let's see some details, right, for FRA, right? Forward rate agreement, right? That's FRA's full name, right? We have the two jobs for this part, right? One is the pricing, one's forward valuations, right? FRAs are over-the-counter forward contract, and in this contract, right, our underlying asset is what? Interest rate, right? For example, level rate. If you take a long position of the FRA, right, you have obligations to make our what? Make our loans, right? You take our loans in the future with the contract rate, right, specified. If you have a short position of FRA, right, you actually what? You actually take our obligations, right, to make our loans, right, to lending the monies. Right, and our contract rate. Right, do you have any questions? You can put the comments, right? That's for our FRA contract, right? And long positions means you are actually purchase FRA in your hand, right? So in the future, you will borrow money, right, from the counterparties, right? You will pay the interest as specified in the FRA contract, right? If you take a short positions of FRA, right, means you will borrow money. You will what? You will lending the money in the future, right? So you are lenders, right? And you will, charge interest rate as specified in the contract. For the gains, right? We will talk this one, later, right? In these videos, right? In the next video, we will talk about the gains in more details.